Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Go woke, go broke. That's what President Trump says, right? Well, it's clearly true. I mean, when you see what is going on with all these companies that have gone woke, they are going broke. And now the wokeness is once again infecting our Christmas holiday. Neiman Marcus, the luxury retailer, is doing away with its very famous luxury Christmas catalog, now calling it a holiday catalog. Go figure. Why are they doing this? The Christmas catalog has been around for decades. It's got these crazy dream-style gifts, upwards of $1 million, $2 million to buy some of the gifts in here. But it's a long-awaited addition to Christmas. It comes in the mail, and you look through, and you see all of these fantasy gifts. Now it's a holiday catalog. Neiman Marcus, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What is behind this? Maybe more importantly, who is behind this at Neiman Marcus? We're going to get into that today on the program. And then Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson going down the woke road, cruising down the woke road on a Harley, which makes no sense. Revenue off 32%. It's not looking good for Harley Davidson. They're trying to rescue themselves from this woke nonsense. We're going to talk about the numbers of that Harley Davidson has. Not looking very good. And Victoria's Secret, by the way. Victoria's Secret now having transgender lingerie models. Are you kidding me? That's the last thing that I want to see. All of this is just the destruction of our country right before our very eyes. And then add on top of that, artificial intelligence. Not good. All right. Artificial intelligence may end the internet. You say, how does artificial intelligence going to end the internet? It could be the death of the internet. This is an unbelievable story, and we'll tell you why and how, why some people may think the entire world may implode because of artificial intelligence. We will talk about all of that. But before we do, folks, I want to tell you about my friends over at Colonial Metals Group. freegoldguide.com/grant. freegoldguide.com/grant. I want you to get one of these gold guides. I want you to think about using your 401k, your IRA, to start putting money into precious metals. Why? It is about safety and security. It is about protecting the assets you worked so hard for. So gold has stood the test of time. We know that it's an inflation hedge. We know that it is a safe haven for money. And what's happening right now to the U.S. dollar? Every country across the world is waging war on the U.S. dollar. The one commodity that has stood the test of time has been gold when it comes to situations like this. So I would urge you talk to our friends at Colonial Metals Group to see how much is right for you. Only you and them can figure all of this out. But I'll tell you this, I know the guys there, and I know you have a lot of choices for precious metals, where to go. A lot of conservatives advertising this stuff. But I know these guys. I know these guys, and I trust these guys. It is up to you on how much to put with them, but you got to talk to them about it first. Take the first step of protecting the assets you work so hard for. Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/grant, 800-458-7356, 800-458-7356, and you tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. If you can believe it, we are now going down the road of no Christmas. They're canceling Christmas. This is what they want to do. I'm convinced. It starts with the Democrats. All of these nonsensical prospects of doing away with religion altogether. It is a war on God. They don't mind holidays because they're not about production. So they're happy to give you a day off. Nothing's about production, right? But they don't want you to celebrate God. Latest example of this, the diversity, equity, and inclusion focused Neiman Marcus, or Neiman Mucus, as my grandfather used to call it. Neiman Marcus has rebranded its historic Christmas book called the Holiday Book. Now, the Christmas book, if you don't know Neiman Marcus, this is an icon. This is a luxury retailer. You know, we got Neiman Marcus here. It's a great store, truthfully. Great luxury items, all that stuff. The Christmas book is an insanely over-the-top list of Christmas presents you can get from Neiman Marcus that, I don't know, I think you call them fantasy gifts, okay, since 1959. Started out as a 16-page booklet, now multiple pages, things like a $1.9 million Spanish royal carriage artifact that you can buy that is in the group, in the deal here. There is a Masica 18-karat fancy yellow diamond necklace, plus a flying photo safari across Kalahari Savannah. If you can believe that, with an award-winning photographer, documentary filmmaker, Amy Vital. You know how much that is? $777,000. So they changed this thing to the holiday book. This is CEO Jeffrey Van Raemdonk. Jeffrey Van Raemdonk, whose tenure at Neiman Marcus, by the way, has seen layoffs, structural overhauls as they moved DEI policies. Many employees have been critical. Their headquarters is in Dallas, by the way. Headquarters feel the focus is now on all these social priorities instead of moving business forward. They acquire Saks Fifth Avenue. Okay, that's soon to happen. Are they going to ruin Saks also? So here's a quote from one employee that told the New York Post, if Jeffrey and his team put as much time into running the business as they did on expressing viewpoints about DEI, would we be buying Saks or launching an IPO? Instead, my job is at risk because of our business failure. But again, this gets back to, why are you waging war on Christmas? There's no need. Leave it to Christmas book, but you can't because you're a wild liberal who hates God. So I could stand here and say, don't shop at Neiman Marcus anymore. I don't know. It does work. These boycotts are now starting to work for the first time in history. How do I know that the boycotts are working? Harley Davidson. I told you about them last week. Well, their struggles continue. Harley Davidson just announced a significant drop in sales, reporting a 26% decline in revenue. I just told you how their DEI policies was killing business. You think Harley Davidson riders want to engage in diversity, equity, and inclusion, or want to buy a motorcycle from a company that does? So apparently, numbers just released. Revenue has officially fallen to $1.1 billion, notably below the estimates for 2024. They had a 32% drop in overhaul revenue from Harley Davidson's motor vehicle company. 32%, it's down. You know, after I first told you about Harley Davidson, I started to do some research about what they do inside this iconic motorcycle company. They openly support the Equality Act, which allowed men into girls' bathrooms, sports, and locker rooms. Okay? Harley Davidson funded an all-ages pride event that featured a rage room next to drag queen story time. You know, one thing about bikers, they really love America. They always have American flags on their biker jackets. 1,800 employees had to do a virtual training on how to become LGBTQ plus allies. Don't make me do a training on that. I don't want to be anybody's ally, except for yours, of course. Or let me choose whose ally I want to be, but don't make me be an LGBTQ plus ally. They are a founding member, Harley Davidson is, of the LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce. Folks, this is the motorcycle company that prides itself on, I don't know, testosterone, really, right? I mean, that's what Harley Davidson is supposed to be all about. They sponsored an LGBTQ entrepreneur boot camp. The woke CEO, Johann Zietz, signed the CEO Action for Diversity and Inclusion pledge. By the way, he must have gone back on that pledge because the latest statement out now is, we are going to give up our DEI programs and focus solely on making motorcycles. The damage may already be done. Many people are moving to Indian, which is a great motorcycle, by the way. In February and March, months of inclusion, because apparently Pride Month isn't enough. So now they've got to have February and March as months of inclusion. Multiple woke United Way trainings. They donated millions to United Way, United for Equity. They want to know why they're losing money. Look at all this stuff. They sent some white male employees to a white male-only woke diversity training program. Harley Davidson is openly working to have less white suppliers, dealers, and employees. How about you just go with whoever supplies you the best parts? This DEI stuff is ruining America. Now, as we've seen, it's ruining Christmas. And then I've got to see Victoria's Secret has 2 trannies marching in their fashion show. The world is ending before our eyes, folks. It's sickening. I really don't want to see transgenders in angel costumes walking down the aisle for Victoria's Secret. I really don't. One fashion show last year, they didn't even have the models. They had somebody reading a poem. It's literally lingerie. It's supposed to be sexy. And you call me sexist, call me prejudiced, call me racist, call me whatever you want to do. I don't find transgenders in angel lingerie sexy. I just don't. Maybe that's because I'm a toxic alpha male. So be it. Sue me. Folks, so you want to be in Bitcoin, but the wild swings, the volatility scares the crap out of you. I don't blame you. So you know what I've done? I get monthly returns now, literal cash flow, being in Bitcoin, but only in mining. So the secret to success when it comes to Bitcoin is in the mining. And this is what Get21Now.com does. It's a company called NFN8. I'm involved with them. I've already started getting my checks. This is institutionalized giant warehouses of these servers. This is an impressive operation. They've been doing this for a long time. I've vetted them. I've talked to them. I want you to talk to them too. I used to buy businesses, right? I'd have to deal with employees and angry customers and paying bills and all of the headaches that come along with that. Folks, I get 21% now on my money, paid monthly. This is cash flow, baby. And look, NASDAQ is already trading Bitcoin as a commodity. This is real stuff. The future is now. Get21Now.com. You want to have cash flow, monthly payments, talk to these guys, all right? Talk to them. They've promised stuff to me, and they have lived up to every promise they have made to me. Get21Now.com. Get21Now.com. Pay them a visit today and tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. Hey, AI, yes, it's 2 words, artificial intelligence. What does it mean for society in general? I actually believe AI is one of the few things that needs to be regulated. And you know me, I hate regulation, but I like the regulation of the manufacturing of nuclear bombs. And I actually believe AI is a nuclear bomb on society. Can AI do some good? Absolutely. There's some things AI does that makes people's lives super easy, but I'm telling you, it's going to put a lot of people out of business. Humanity could die in the wake of AI. You're not going to need anybody. You know, the crew here, what was it, a few months back, they took my voice and they had AI basically do part of a segment. You didn't even know it's not me. That alone is scary. They're going to have an AI conservative talk show host. I guarantee you no bot is going to be able to do it as good as I can. I don't know. Maybe they will be. And if they does, we're doomed. So I see this story. This is one of the downfalls of AI. Here's a 14-year-old boy. Now, remember, my son's 15. I know many of you have kids out there. Just so put yourself in the shoes of a parent with a 14-year-old or a young teenager. This 14-year-old boy fell in love with a Game of Thrones chatbot and then killed himself after the AI app told him to come home to her mom. What does that even mean? So the 14-year-old Florida boy killed himself after a lifelike Game of Thrones chatbot he'd been messaging for months on an artificial intelligence app sent him an eerie message telling him to come home to her. A new lawsuit filed by the grief-stricken mom claims Sewell Setzer III committed suicide at their Orlando home. He was obsessed, and he allegedly fell in love with this chat bot, a role-playing app that lets users engage with AI-generated characters, according to court papers filed Wednesday. The ninth grader had been relentlessly engaging with the bot Danny, D-A-N-Y, named after the HBO fantasy series. I don't even know this. Daenerys Targaryen? Do you guys know this? You boys are...
Daenerys Targaryen.
Daenerys Targaryen, okay? Now, I know Jerry Tarkanian, who is the former coach of UNLV, but I do not know Daenerys Targaryen, okay? In the months prior to his death, he falls in love with this Daenerys Targaryen character, including several chats that were sexually charged in nature and where he expressed suicidal thoughts. Now, it's a chatbot. It's a robot. Does the robot have an obligation to let someone know that this kid is having suicidal thoughts? Can the chatbot not let someone know, a human know, that's in charge of the app, that this kid's having to let someone know? Like this is where all sense of responsibility is gone. Because I'll tell you this, a chatbot does not have ethics. And a chatbot does not have a moral obligation to anyone. It's a computer, okay? Here's part of the chat. I promise I will come home to you. I love you so much, Danny. This is him writing to the bot. I love you too, De Niro. Please come home to me as soon as possible, my love. What if I told you I could come home right now? Please do, my sweet king. And this chatbot is a smoke show of a chatbot. I will tell you, a very pretty chatbot.
How are you, baby?
But somebody's got to say something. 855-785-8255, 855-785-8255. Now, what does this mean? I asked a question about pornography. Pornography bad. You don't want your kids watching pornography. But I will say this. TV news is like pornography. Local TV news, and you know I always tease Jen Horn. She loves local TV news. TV news is like pornography. Do you know why I say this? Because everybody watches it, but nobody admits they do. That wasn't really even a joke, but it is true. So present company excluded, of course. We're pure as the driven snow, all of us in this studio. But now if you get into the idea that pornography, if it was AI generated, the people aren't human, is there an ethical obligation now not to watch? Because, you know, you've got the whole aspect where traditional pornography, that women's bodies are being used in a way they shouldn't be used, and you think that people in the sex trade industry are victims. I was on the board of an organization in Dallas that helped women escape the sex trade industry. I believe strongly in helping people escape that. There's a money trap in that, call it an industry. But now you got AI. What's your ethical obligations on that front? These are the questions that society is going to be posed. And then you've got to ask yourself, what happens when society starts to implode? Does the internet become completely AI generated? There's no more humans on the internet. This is what the guys behind the glass were telling me about. This, what did you call it? The internet what, Dan, down the phone, man?
The dead internet theory.
The dead internet theory. Radar, you ran it. It's the first time I've ever seen Radar run to the microphone. So I've got to ask you your thoughts on the dead internet theory, Radar.
Yeah, so the dead internet theory basically says that in the future there will be no more humans on the internet because AI is completely taking over. It's going to be AIs feeding off of AIs, AIs making all the pictures, and AIs writing all the articles and stories.
You know what?
And yeah, that might be where we're headed.
I'm concerned about the internet. What about real life? Why would a company need AI? Now, I'll tell you this. I owned oil change businesses. AI can't change your oil. I mean, I guess if I bought some kind of cool robots or something, but AI is not going to change your oil. Now, at some point, AI could drive a truck, right? I own trucking companies. At some point, AI is going to be able to drive the truck. Driverless trucks are a legit deal now. And I'll tell you, some of my truck drivers, boy, would I have loved a driverless truck. I'll tell you that much. But some of them I loved, though, too. All right, real quick on this topic. Ronnie in Seal Beach, what say you? Oh, Ronnie, hold on one second.
Hey, buddy.
I'm great, Ronnie. What do you got on this?
Hey, I was just going to say, your question was, can you fall in love with a bot? It prompted me to think of that Twilight Zone where Rod Serling's Twilight Zone, where the guy, he was a criminal, and they sent him to another planet, and they realized he was on the planet. He started going insane, so they sent him a gorgeous female robot. This is in the 50s, mind you.
Yeah.
And then they said, after like 20 years, hey, we want to come take you back to Earth, Corey. He goes, no, man, I'm in love with this robot. I'm not going anywhere. You can leave me here. So I think you can fall in love with a robot, and Japan's making sex spots all the time. As a matter of fact, I'm saving up for one. They're like $100,000.
Oh, jeez. All right, Ronnie from Seal Beach, everyone, with a stunning admission on the morning answer. Oh, you got to love this radio program, don't you? All right, does anybody notice a difference with me? I've lost now, yes, if you can believe it, 12 pounds in just 3.5 weeks on the Energized Health program. The secret is in the science, but it's also in the simplicity. I am not killing myself with workouts. Yes, I work out with weights, and I always had, but I've added in a very small workout to this program. Super easy. I have a diet plan now. I am never hungry. I don't feel like I'm struggling through this diet. It is super simple. And I'm getting myself hydrated. It is all about cellular hydration, and the results you can achieve are absolutely astonishing. And I'm telling you firsthand, folks, I got involved with them. They came to me and said, hey, we want you to try this out. I said, okay, I could tighten things up a little bit. And bing, bang, boom, I'm on track, man. And I credit energizedhealth.com/grant, energizedhealth.com/grant. There's coaching involved in this. There's recipes involved in this. The plan is all laid out for you. And again, it is super simple. This is life-changing, mind, body, soul. It's a total body transformation. God bless the folks at Energized Health who are helping me. energizedhealth.com/grant. Check them out today. We know that our government spends money like a drunken sailor. And as I always say, I don't like to besmirch the good name of drunken sailors. But we spend money, I mean, like it's going out of style, like it grows on trees. Oh, wait a second. It virtually does grow on trees. We just print it. This is what sends inflation through the roof. I will tell you that our lawmakers in Washington and every state capital across the country, including Sacramento, are addicted to spending money. The power comes with the spend, all right? So when you're an elected leader, I want to make this very clear. Your power does not come from actually the office, from holding meetings. Your power isn't really from the laws that get passed, but the laws that get passed ultimately go into the spending. Where your power comes from is what you're able to approve when it comes to spending. Now, according to a new study that's out from 2010 to 2023, okay, oil and gas received $33 billion in subsidies. Now, you're probably going to say, $33 billion to the oil and gas industry? That sounds like a tremendous amount of money. I would say you're right. Why are we giving $33 billion to the oil and gas industry? It doesn't make any sense. They're profitable, especially when President Trump is in office, but they make money. They don't need my money. You're going to go dig for oil? Go dig for oil. Go drill, baby, drill. But I'm not giving you federal money to go do it, but apparently we do $33 billion. Now, this is where it gets really bad. If you don't think that's bad. Wind received $65 billion. So wind energy received $65 billion in subsidies between 2010 and 2023, while oil received only $33 billion. And here we go. Solar, $76 billion in federal subsidies. Nuclear, $26 billion. Now, I would say if you're going to subsidize anything, nuclear is the one because you need government scientists most likely working on nuclear science. But $26 billion, and coal received $20 billion. Now, wind received, okay, wind and solar depend more on subsidies than oil and gas. Why? Because it's not profitable. So the taxpayers have to fund it. I don't want to do that. Wind and solar together receive 48 times more subsidies than oil and gas. Okay? Wind and solar are still a small part of our energy strategy. So remember, oil and gas gets $33 billion. Wind, $65 billion. Solar, $76 billion. How much do you think wind comprises of our total energy production in America? And it got twice as much than oil and gas. Wind comprises of 3.5% of our entire energy production in America. Solar makes up 2% of our total energy production. And they each got twice as much money as oil and gas did. Now, the bottom line in all of this, in my world that I live in, I don't think the government should be subsidizing any of this. Now, if the government's going to subsidize anything, it's got to be our electricity grid, not how we get power onto the grid. Private enterprise can produce that power and put it onto the grid. We need to shore up our grid. Our grid is in tremendous danger. Do you know it is more vulnerable than you can imagine? It is estimated that if at one attack in certain areas of the country, if you took out 3 of these big transformer sites that you see, you could shut down a quarter of the country's energy if you did it strategically. Not to mention we've relied far too much on Chinese parts inside our electricity grid. We know that China has a backdoor into some of our electricity production in America, a backdoor because of their parts and chips. President Trump signs an order to do away with all Chinese parts, not allowed to be used anymore in any new construction. Joe Biden gets in office and overturns that. But back to this idea of why we're spending so much money, taxpayer money, on wind and solar when it amounts to a total of 5% of our U.S. energy production. We are just wasting money. If solar's going to work, we've got to make it work so private enterprise can have this happen. Now, when did this all start? Go back to the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act in 2009. Literally just provided cash payments to developers so they could avoid financing. They just gave developers cash. I'd like a study to go back and see how many of these projects were actually built, or did the developers just steal the cash? Because that's my estimation of what probably happened. Then you go to 2022. Now, 2022, we had this Inflation Reduction Act, which sent inflation skyrocketing because it was all about government spending. More money flows into wind and solar. It is now projected that close to $1.2 trillion through 2031, that the cost of subsidies for wind and solar will triple to $1.2 trillion by 2031. Can you imagine? What are we doing? Well, there's big money in this. Not just for the developers of this that's taking government money, but the lobbyists. Those developers take some of that cash and they give it to lobbyists in Washington, and those lobbyists will charge $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, sometimes a month, to go and push this stuff. And then even there are Republican lawmakers that'll say, oh, you know what? I love this idea. Why? Because the lobbyists are now funding their campaigns. You see how sick it all is? It is tremendously sick, and it is a huge problem. This kind of spending has gotten out of control. It's got to stop. Well, folks, I want to tell you about Patriot Mobile. You know, I have a Patriot Mobile phone. I'm so happy with it. Patriot Mobile is all about supporting the programs, causes, charities that believe in the things we believe in. Why would you be giving money to the big three woke cell phone companies that literally practice DEI policies inside their corporate structure. They literally fund places like Planned Parenthood. When you could be with Patriot Mobile, that's supporting our veterans, that's protecting our gun rights, that is literally taking the fight when it comes to free speech to the left, putting "In God We Trust" signs in schools, and for this, the media comes after them so hard. Patriot Mobile, I urge you to get a Patriot Mobile phone. Hey, I got a Patriot One plan, one phone, two lines, two different networks. So in an emergency, one network's down, I got it covered. PatriotMobile.com/Grant, PatriotMobile.com/Grant. That's where I want you to go. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month service, and I promise you, you are not going to regret it. You can call them at 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, and you tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. GrantStinchfield.com is the website, GrantStinchfield.com, at Stinchfield1776 on all the social media platforms. I'm so honored that you hang out and listen with me as we move through this holiday week. And I hope you get to spend some time with your family. Say a prayer for this country. We most certainly need it. And say a prayer for yourselves. Don't ever forget about you as well. Without a strong you, we can't keep everybody else around us strong. So I'll pray for all of you as well. I'm Grant Stinchfield. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Thanks to all of you. See you back here soon.